It's a pleasure to be here, and I am pleased to speak on behalf of the Internet Technical Advisory Committee this morning. How is that? Okay. I think you're going to hear a recurring theme here. We are, of course, acutely aware of how the Internet has impacted our lives, how it has impacted our economies, our businesses, and what the great potential is for the Internet. But we too feel that we are at a defining moment, that we face a situation where we're frankly at risk of undoing all the progress we have made over the last 3 decades. More explicitly, we believe we face a choice between an Internet that is open and that encourages innovation, and one that is more tightly controlled, which may have the opposite effect of stifling progress. This concern comes from the growing anxiety of users around security and privacy issues that may encourage governments to close and fragment the very Internet that has brought us all of this opportunity. We worry that this could undermine individuals' ability to use the Internet to improve their lives and to improve the lives of others. This makes trust, as Mark has just said, the key issue in defining the future value of the Internet and of the digital economy. Every week we hear of these incidents. Surveys show in the US that 45% of users are changing the way they use the Internet because of this anxiety. We need to ensure that this trust is on the top of mind for all of the stakeholders who have a stake in the future of the Internet. We call this collaborative security. We say that there is no one treaty that will fix this issue. There is no one piece of legislation that will solve this. No single technical fix will make everything okay. Nor will it come about because one company, one government, or an individual decides security is important. We are all in this together. At the Internet Society, we're trying to make more explicit the different dimensions of a framework for trust. And we've identified 4 building blocks that we believe are the foundation of a trusted Internet: user trust, trusted networks, technologies for trust, and a trustworthy ecosystem. We've posted a paper just now. We hope you'll take a look at it. It is in beta form. We want to see if this is an approach that has viability, and we would like your input on this as a way to drive some best practices around these issues. We seek to capture here the attributes of successful models for addressing the challenge of trust. I was recently in Japan at the G7 and was intrigued by how the Japanese Internet community has organized itself in preparing for the Internet of Things. They understood that to be successful, they had to deal with 2 things: IPv6, which, by the way, is the code for that creates the numbers that are the routing system and says this is this device. And if we have devices everywhere and we have an Internet of everything, we need to get this code adopted by all users. The second thing they were concerned about, of course, was building in trust from the beginning. But it was how the community is addressing this issue, which, in my view, will ensure its success. And that is not through a top-down regulatory approach, but by bringing all the parties together in a multi-stakeholder convening so that they shared best practices and came up with approaches that were mutually a win-win. So we believe that this kind of approach, and I commend the report that came out yesterday at the ITAC meeting led by our trustee Hiroshi Asaki. We think that there's an urgent need to build greater trust in the Internet, and in order, frankly, to meet the aspirations of this conference, we need to get this underway. The OECD has led the efforts on multi-stakeholder decision-making. We look forward to more work on this week, and we urge the members of the OECD to adopt this forward thinking, these process improvements in building a better internet for the future.